Alright guys, this is going to be Daniel 8. I played around a little bit with some of the settings and I updated and set up OBS to see if maybe I can get some of that background noise going. Still got a lot of it, don't know why. I don't know where it's coming from unless it's from the computer itself. But I can only do is work with what I got, and I'll keep playing around with it and see if I can get it better and try to clear some of this sound up a little bit more. But we'll see. So I don't know a lot about this. I just play around with it until I figure something out that works and then go. But we'll see where we end up. I should be able to do this here. I may have to start using, well, if I had to clear a house, I'd use the other computer. But it is what it is. So today we're getting into Daniel 8. Let me bring up all our stuff here. Daniel 8 is a very, very interesting chapter. Daniel 8 has got a lot of very interesting stuff in it. Now, you guys remember last week we did Daniel 7, Vision of the Four Beasts. Everybody completely agrees that Daniel 7 applies to a future time. Daniel 9, prayer for his people, all the stuff that's going on. If they believe these are future things, why don't they believe this is future? Especially when you go down to the bottom of the chapter and it says in verse 26, and the vision of the evenings and the mornings which was told is true, therefore seal up the vision, for it refers to many days in the future. Meaning it was for a time of the end. This is, and it talks about the Antichrist, so obviously this didn't happen back during Antiochus Epiphanes, which a lot of people seem to reference that it happened, it involves Antiochus Epiphanes. Well, it doesn't. He wasn't the first king. Because it says that this goat in here, and we'll get into this is that nation's first king. Antiochus Epiphanes wasn't that nation's first king. He was the first king to put his face on a coin, but he wasn't the first king. And a lot of people do this. And I think it's because they honestly don't read this chapter and pay attention to what it's saying. Now, it's very interesting what's going on here. We're going to dig into it a little bit. So let's start in the beginning. Let's work our way through. There's a lot of detail here. And I'm going to show you something here that I don't know if anybody else has caught. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But it seems to speak specifically to this. In the third year, and again, the book of Daniel, it hasn't been opened up until this time. I mean, it's just now starting to really open up and people to understand. In the third year of the reign of King Belshazzar, a vision appeared to me. To me, Daniel. So he was like, wow, it happened to me. After the one that appeared to me the first time. I saw in the vision, and it so happened while I was looking, that I was in Shushan, the citadel, which is in the province of Elam. And I saw in the vision that I was by the river Ulai. This is very, very important where his location is. This location still exists to this day. And we can go find it. The citadel by the river Ulai. City near Susa is known as Euless to my vision. Okay, it's supposed to be showing us where it's at. Location. Okay, why is it not showing me? I see I did a big video on this before. Okay. So last time I did this, it showed me directly that it was in Iran. It's not showing me. This is a location in Iran. Here we go. The river Ulai is a far western Iranian province of Khuzestan, just 50 kilometers from the Iraqi border, on the outskirts of the city of Shush, ancient Susa. So it's in Iran. Here we go. So there's Iraq, and it's right over in Iran. So the location he's at right now is Iran. And specifically, he's speaking on this prophecy as something that happens to Iran. Now, keep in mind, back then, that region encompassed parts of Iraq and encompassed parts of Turkey, parts of Syria. So I think Damascus may play a part in this, and the further along we go, you'll understand why. Damascus may play a part in this. Let's see, verse 3. Then I lifted up my eyes and saw, and there, standing beside the river, was a ram which had 2 horns. And the 2 horns were high, but one was higher than the other, and the higher one came up last. These are 2 leaders. Now, you know what's going on over there. We've taken out a few of their leaders recently, but notice some of those leaders that have come up pretty high. They've really gained a highness in power. So the ram is related to Iran, and these horns are related to leaders. We know this because other places in the Bible does the same thing. It relates horns to leaders. The beast with 7 heads and 10 horns, for example. So this is 2 leaders of this nation. So we see these horns here, and these horns are making decisions. These horns are doing something. Because this ram, the nation, the group, the entity, verse 4, I saw the ram pushing westward, northward, and southward. So that no animal, and that would be animal meaning whatever nation he's talking about, no animal could withstand him, nor was there any that could deliver from his hand. But he did according to his will, and became great. So he's going westward, which means he's heading towards the Atlantic. Northward, up towards Russia. Southward, down towards Israel. And he's moving and he's taking over. Now, keep in mind, in our world today, what do we see happening? We don't see Iran taking control. I mean, they kind of are. But they're doing it at the behest of Russia, which we know in here, referencing Gog and Magog, or Gog of Magog. So we see the relations to these different nations here, and the things that they're doing parallel what the Bible says that they would do. Iran is trying to take control up there. He's doing all kinds of stuff, making all kinds of agreements and everything, gaining in power. Just made a huge, ironically, going westward, there was just a huge deal signed by our agency, by our government, giving them $20-something billion. Well, they're going to use that for their nuclear program. So that they're trying to take over. They're trying to see how much control they can get, because they want to take out Israel. Everybody wants to take out Israel. It's supposed to be like that before the end comes. Now, of course, Daniel wouldn't understand this, so verse 5, and as I was considering, suddenly a male goat came from the west across the surface of the whole earth without touching the ground, and the goat had a notable horn between his eyes. Very interesting. A goat. Who would be referred to as a goat? If you go into Jewish, the understanding and the referencing that they used, a goat would be Gentiles. This is a Gentile nation. This is a less than considerable nation, or in this case, maybe a scapegoat, because the scapegoat, the sins are put on them and they were sent out. We've been kind of the scapegoat for Israel for a lot of years. We're also in a Abraham Accord agreement with them right now. We're part of that 10-nation coalition, 70-nation coalition. So as he was considering this ram doing the things that he was doing, Iran doing what they're doing now, suddenly a male goat came from the west. Well, who's west of Iran? Now, a lot of people say that this is Greece, because in, I think it's the King James that shows it. Let's go over there and take a look. So it's Daniel 8:5, King James. Came from the west on the face of the whole earth and touched not the ground, and the goat had a notable horn between his eyes. I think it says in here that this is or when he gives the thing down here, when he gives the interpretation, he says this Greece. Okay, we'll come back to that. Sorry, guys. There's been a lot going on. My head's all cloudy. We'll get into this. We're going into the details. So, this goat rose up, came from the west, across the surface of the whole earth, without touching the ground. What does that sound like to you? So this goat, this nation, rose up and is traveling across the earth, not touching the ground. To me, that sounds like an airstrike. If we're trying to relate that to terms for nowadays, what would that look like today? This is a vision for a time of the future, way in the future. This is for our time. So, because there's no other time in history that this has ever applied perfectly. They keep saying, whenever the one guy went down, 4 of his generals came up and took over his nation, because this main nation breaks into 4 pieces. I don't think that's what that's referring to, because they didn't do what they were supposed to do. Because if that was the case, the one that was supposed to come up out of there hasn't done that yet. So he didn't touch the ground. We'll get there, guys. Just hang with me here. He crossed the whole earth without touching the ground. That sounds like an airstrike, and we're the only ones with an air force big enough to do that. Crossing the whole earth, just passing over everything. And the goat had a notable horn between his eyes. So horns are leaders, right? This one has a notable horn. Well, what would the notable horn be? You know, we're the only nation with a president. We're the only nation that has never had a king, but has always had presidents. We've never had a king over America. Always presidents. It's an interesting note for a little further on here. He had a notable horn between his eyes. A notable horn, a notable leader. Verse 6, then he came to the ram that had 2 horns, which I had seen standing beside the river in Iran, and ran at him with furious power. Came at him hardcore. Well, that's what an airstrike would look like. And I saw him confronting the ram. He was moved with rage against him, attacking the ram, and broke his 2 horns, took out his leaders. There was no power in the ram to withstand him, but he cast him down to the ground and trampled him, and there was no one that could deliver the ram from his hand. This attacking nation, this attacking leader, is so powerful that no one can come against him. Well, who's the most powerful nation in the world right now? America. Just saying. People keep saying that America's Mystery Babylon. I don't think so. I think this is America right here. That's just me putting it out there. Verse 8. Therefore the male goat grew very great, but when he became strong, he grew great, he grew up, became powerful, but when he became strong, the large horn was broken. And in place of it, 4 notable ones came up toward the 4 winds of heaven. So bear with me here. The male goat grew very great. This nation grew very great because of this attack. Everything did real good. Everybody was doing good. Everything. They were getting power. But when he became strong, when he became a great nation, when he became great again, just saying, make America great again, just saying, the large horn was broken. You know, those words and those phrases they use mean something. The large horn was broken. This notable horn, this leader was broken. This presidency was taken down. I think this is the president. This presidency was taken down. And in place of it, 4 notable horns, notable ones, came up toward the 4 winds of heaven. 4 different ways of thinking. They were towards the 4 winds, 4 different ways of thinking. 4 different ways of looking at things. So this nation, this single nation, broke into 4 pieces. And those 4 groups went 4 different ways. Did you know right now they're talking about breaking America up into 4 pieces, possibly 5? Right now, as I'm filming this video, they're talking about that. These 4 are going to think differently. Now, here's what's even more funnier is that when you do a little bit of digging, you find out people are already moving. They're already going back and forth. They're already moving to these different places because they want to live where things are going to be the way they want them to be. It's already happening. Why do you think so many people have come to Texas? Why do you think so many people are going to Kentucky, Tennessee? They're moving to those areas where there's government that they like. This nation is already separating. It's happening right now. As a country, we're pretty much gone. You know, in 2020, is it 2026? Is our 250th birthday. Did you know every great civilization fell after its 250th birthday? Hello? And if that's the case, that could mean Trump is definitely going to get reelected in this next election, and then he's going to be our last president. Now, very interestingly, and this is just what I think. I'm saying this is just what I think, looking at this and looking at our world today, knowing where we are right now prophetically. Some of the things Trump has already talked about. You can do a few little researches on this. In fact, we might be able to dig this out a little bit. Trump plans a frightening power grab if elected president. Trump plans to expand presidential power over agencies, which means all the agencies that we're governed on, they're going to be under his control completely. So let's take a quick look here. Is America on the brink of tyranny? Trump's plan, if elected in 2024, should frighten us all. Now, in a way, yes. In a way, no. His plans to eliminate executive branch constraints on his power if he is elected and president in 2024. The obstacles to be eliminated include an independent Justice Department, independent leadership in administrative agencies, and an independent civil service. That's just a few. Now, I don't know if Trump called for a termination of the Constitution. I doubt that. But you see what's going on here? Because I remember there were several articles I had read. Get out of here. Where he himself was talking about making big differences. The former president and his backers aim to strengthen the power of the White House and limit the independence of federal agencies. He wants to put all federal agencies under control of the presidency. Well, first of all, that would make him a notable horn. This notable horn has power and control. What else would this make him? Because if all governing agencies in a particular area are under one rule, who is that? That's a monarchy. That's a king. And he's talking about doing this. Now, you remember back when he first ran, he was running from 2016 to 2020. I did this in this older video when I was talking about Daniel 8. All these headlines were talking about King Trump, King Trump. They were calling him King Trump. Mr. Trump and his advocates have a broader goal to alter the balance of power by increasing the president's authority over every part of the federal government that now operates by either law or tradition with any measure of independence from political interference by the White House, according to a review of his campaign policy proposals and interviews with people close to him. Mr. Trump intends to bring independent agencies like the Federal Communications Commission, which makes and enforces rules for television and internet companies, and the Federal Trade Commission, which enforces various antitrust and other consumer protection rules against businesses under direct presidential control. And it goes on. See, this is the kind of power a king has. It's hidden in plain sight, but this is the kind of power that kings have. I find that interesting. Now, we're not done yet. There's still the whole interpretation of this, but we got to finish this up here. Therefore, the male goat grew very great, but when he became strong, the large horn was broken. I think that he's going to be the last president. Number one, he's going to end up making us a king, but number two, it's going to collapse everything we know as America. I think Trump's right for the job of president. I think his move, maybe he knows something about this, or somebody's told him something about this, and this is what he's doing because he's trying to help push this forward. I don't know. I'm not in on those kind of talks or conversations, but I'm reading this right here, and I'm looking at what's going on today, and it's like there's a lot going on here. I'm telling you, if you see Trump get elected and you've seen an airstrike on Iran, you'll know Daniel 8 is applying to right now. On their way over there to do that, I think they're going to take out what's left of Damascus. That's just me. That's just me thinking out loud. But this is so interesting that this is what's going to happen. And look at what we're seeing now. And look at the timing. The timing is the big indicator. That we're about to hit our 250th birthday, and every great nation didn't last much past 250. That's amazing. Now, what makes me think, because most people, in fact almost all people I've talked to and looked at, think Daniel 8 is already done and over with, it happened in the past. What makes me think this is a future time? Well, verse 9. And out of one of them came a little horn, which grew exceedingly great toward the south, toward the east, and toward the glorious, and that word right there is land. Let me change this color. Toward the glorious land. What's the glorious land? Israel. Toward the south, Mexico. Toward the east, which would be, evidently he's going to rise up somewhere over maybe California, or that one of those regions over there. So it'd be toward the east, the eastern part of the United States, or the eastern continent, that's all across the Atlantic, and toward the glorious land, which is Israel. Or maybe toward the east would be towards Iran. I don't know. There's a lot going on here, but who's the little horn? Satan. Verse 10. And it grew up to the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the host and some of the stars to the ground, and trampled them. Is that not a description elsewhere in the Bible about what Satan did? Some of the host and some of the stars to the ground and trampled them. Satan took a bunch of people with him from heaven, a bunch of angels with him. They're fallen angels. Verse 11. This is the Antichrist, guys. So this is obviously a time for the future, not past, but coming. The Antichrist hasn't been revealed yet. He even exalted himself, verse 11, as high as the priest of the host. And by him the daily sacrifices were taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down. If Daniel 8 took place over 2,000, or over 2,500, about 2,300 years ago, if that took place back then, why is this talking about the Antichrist in this chapter? This is the Antichrist. I mean, it's obvious it's the Antichrist. Because elsewhere in the Bible, Book of Revelation, other prophets, it says Antichrist is going to do this very same thing. The daily sacrifices were taken away. The place of his sanctuary was cast down. Now keep in mind what we read before. Daniel only wrote down the key facts. He didn't write down all the details. Remember that? He only wrote down the key facts. That was in Daniel 7. Right here. He wrote down the dream telling the main facts. So the main facts are what we're looking at right here. Verse 12, because of transgression, an army was given over to the horn to oppose the daily sacrifices. An army was given over to the horn, little horn, to oppose the daily sacrifices. And he cast truth down to the ground. He did all this and prospered. This is what's going to happen in the tribulation. Notice he's not giving all the details. You're getting the rough draft, the rough idea. Verse 13, then I heard a holy one speaking, and another holy one said to that certain one who was speaking, how long will the vision be concerning the daily sacrifices and the transgression of desolation? Now listen to the key thing here. How long will this vision be concerning, how long will it last, concerning the daily sacrifices and the transgression of desolation? So he's going to take down the daily sacrifices, because part of the accord, part of the agreement he's going to make is going to allow Israel to sacrifice again. He's going to take these down, he's going to stop them. And the transgression of desolation, where he makes himself God in the temple. It's not him slaughtering a hog, it's him making himself God. The giving of both the sanctuary and the hosts to be trampled underfoot. So how long is this time frame going to last? Watch this. Verse 14. And he said to me, for 2,300 days, then the sanctuary shall be cleansed. 2,300 days. Then the sanctuary shall be cleansed. When is that cleansing going to happen? That's going to happen when Jesus returns and takes his kingdom back. That temple is going to be cleansed. It's going to be dealt with. he won't be in power anymore. So 2,300 days. How long is that? $6.3 years. The tribulation is 7 years. So we're short 9 months. Now, my theory on this 9-month thing is this is the setup for all this. This is going to be the calm before the storm. Now, it's not going to be calm. From my perspective, when I read in the book of Revelation about the seals, to me it seems like the seals happen outside of the tribulation or at the very beginning of the tribulation. If that's the case, that 9 months that's missing from this could be the seals. A 9-month time frame when the seals will unfold. Or it could be an interim of change. But this guy is going to be running the show for 6.3 years, evidently. This 2,300 days. So that 9 months is key. There's something interesting that's going to happen during that. Now, like I said, the seals, some people say they're in the tribulation. They could be. They could be that 9-month time frame. They could happen before that. We don't know for sure. But how interesting. How interesting that it puts it like this. That it's 6.3 years and the tribulation is 7 years. How long is this going to happen concerning the daily sacrifices and the transgression of desolation, where he stands in the temple at the midway point and declares himself God? That's interesting. Now, I think there's some other timing here that we don't fully understand yet. I haven't dug into it much deeper than this. But we could be able to calculate to pretty close degree the whole time frame as it's going to fold out, and thereby pinpoint maybe when it's going to start. Just saying. The time frame is now. We're really close to this. And what we're seeing happen here is just going to clarify this that much more. So this is a very interesting dream he's having here. Now, here's what's really good. All we have to do is go down and read the interpretation of the vision and read the second half of the chapter, and it tells us everything else we need to know. Verse 15. Then it happened, when I, Daniel, had seen the vision and was seeking the meaning, that suddenly there stood before me one having the appearance of a man. One having the appearance of a man. Who is that? Verse 16. And I heard the man's voice between the banks of the Ulai, who called and said, Gabriel, make this man understand the vision. Who was standing next to him? It wasn't Gabriel having the appearance of a man. This is another appearance of Jesus Christ in the Bible. This is Jesus Christ. And he's saying, Gabriel, make him understand. That's Jesus right there. Verse 17. So that means this is an important prophecy. So he came near where I stood, and when he came, I was afraid and fell on my face. But he said to me, understand, son of man, that the vision refers to the time of the end. Let me change this color. That the vision refers to the time of the end. This prophecy did not happen 2,000 or 2,500 or whatever years ago. It didn't. This is the time of the end. The end is the tribulation. We just clearly saw some of this stuff pinpointing that. And it's talking about the Antichrist who will be there then. This is not an old prophecy. This is a new one. This hasn't happened yet. I believe we're seeing it unfold right before our very eyes. If you see a massive airstrike from the U.S. And look, they've already sent planes over there. They've already been doing war games practicing for an attack on Iran with an airstrike. They literally have been saying it the last 2 months in the news. This is January 23rd, 2023. U.S. and Israel launch a massive joint military exercise to send a message to Iran and others. Notice the picture of the jet. The United States and Israel began a massive joint military exercise in Israel on Monday to show adversaries like Iran that, notice they speak about them specifically, that Washington is not too distracted by the war in Ukraine and the threat from China to mobilize a large military force, a senior defense official said. Notice how they're fighting. Oh, it could be a ground assault, Mr. Christian. About 6,400 U.S. personnel have joined 1,100 Israeli personnel for this exercise, which will employ 142 total aircraft. Of them, 100 aircraft are from the U.S. military, including 4 B-52 bombers, Great Fury, 4 F-35 fighter jets, 45 F-A-18 Hornet fighters, and 2 MQ-9 Reaper drones. 6 U.S. ships, including a carrier strike group, and 6 Israeli ships. That's what they're going to launch them off of. Now, the bombers can fly over there on their own. They can go all around the earth. But the rest of them are going to have to launch from these ships. This is an airstrike, guys. Hello? This is an airstrike. The ships will also provide support down on the water to keep them under control. They're planning the airstrike against Iran. How amazing. And here we read a prophecy where it says a goat is going to cross the whole earth without touching the ground. Why is he not touching the ground? I don't know, because he's flying. Airstrike. I'm just putting 2 and 2 together. And it's equal in 4 in most cases. How interesting. So, at the time of the end, when the Antichrist is about to arise and do his thing, a certain series of events are going to happen right before that. Namely, this nation, this goat with a notable horn, is going to perform an airstrike with a great big one, evidently, against Iran. They're probably going to take Damascus out. They're probably going to take out a few other places. They're going to bomb the snot out of them. Great Fury. Well, if Trump gets in, probably one of the first things he's going to do is set an airstrike towards them. Just saying. I'm just saying. How ironic. He has a notable horn, and Trump's last name is Trump, which is a horn. I'm just spitballing here, guys. I'm just throwing out some details that really seem to line up. You call me crazy. That's okay. I understand if you do. But it's clear already to this point, and we're not done yet, that this doesn't apply to the past. This applies to the future. This hasn't happened yet. I think we're witnessing it. Time of the end. Verse 18. Now, as he was speaking to me, I was in a deep sleep with my face to the ground. But he touched me and stood me upright. And he said, look. Hold on a second. Let me change that color. And he said, look, I am making known to you what shall happen in the latter time of the indignation. All right, what does the indignation refer to in the Bible? The tribulation. I believe, I forget what verse it is the tribulation referred to as the great indignation. Because it is the wrath of God. It is an indignation that is a righteous indignation. Christ revealed, wrath of God. Let's see here. Let me try this. Is tribulation indignation. Google is not working like it used to. Let's see here. Let's see, maybe this will show us something. Esther, Job, Isaiah. Here we go. Isaiah has some. Isaiah 26:20. Come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers and shut the doors about thee. Hide thyself, as it were, for a little moment. We know this is referring to rapture. Most people understand that now. Until the indignation be overpassed. Tribulation. Isaiah 30 verse 27. That particular verse, I think all those verses right there are referring to it, to tribulation. Let's see. Indignation upon all nations. Jeremiah talks about it. Lamentations is mentioning it, because I believe that's referencing a forward or a future tribulation. Ezekiel, here's Daniel, Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk, and here's the one I was looking for. Hebrews has it too a little bit, but Revelation 14:10, the same shall drink the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of his holy angels and in the presence of his Lamb. So we have actual several references here. If you go look all these verses up, a bunch of them are going to be referring to, in their context, to the tribulation. So this indignation, this is tribulation. This is tribulation. Latter time of the indignation. So it's going to be later in that time frame. Remember the 6.3 years, the 2,300 days. This is specifically referencing that. Verse 20, the ram which you saw having two horns, they are the kings of Media and Persia. What's Media and Persia? Iran. Centered around modern Iran. So we know he's talking about this time frame. That ram with those two horns specifically is referencing Iran. And he gives a location. We know exactly where this is. You can literally get a passport and you can go there today. That citadel's still there. I think there was a picture of it. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can find a picture of it. Let's see. Let's try this here. The citadel in Iran. No, that's the BAM citadel. In Susa. So there's the citadel right there. This is where Daniel was in his vision. Notice there's a river running right next to it. So this is where he was. You can go there today. You can go to this place today. Still there after all this time. See if I can get a bigger picture here. There it is. Oh, come on.
To find what you need.
I didn't know that was a video.
To get the job.
Get out of here. So that's it right there. You look over to the right of the screen. And the river, we go to this picture here. The river's running right along it right there. That's the River Ulai right there. Right next to it. So you can literally go see this today. I mean, it's not like this is stuff that doesn't exist anymore. It's right there. So we can prove this easily. Verse 21, and the male goat is the kingdom of Greece. Now this is an interesting part. The large horn that is between his eyes is the first king. So what nation, every nation in the world has had a king except for America. America was completely different in how it stood out. I think God did that on purpose. America's never had a king. And I just showed you all the stuff that you're talking about with Trump and how if he gets elected in 2024, and I 100% believe he's going to. That's not a prophetic statement. I'm just looking at what's going on. I mean, all the stuff they've been trying to do to stop him from getting elected has just secured and ensured he's going to get elected because they made him a hero of the people. But all the things he's talking about doing are going to make him a king because he will have the ultimate power and say-so over all federal agencies. That's what a king does. The king is the final word. It's not like that now. Those authorities, those federal authorities, govern what the president is able to do. He's about to flip that script over the other way. So I think Trump's going to be the last king. He's going to be the first king and the last king. There aren't going to be any more because this country is going to fall apart. Now, here's the interesting part. And the male goat is the kingdom of Greece. This is verse 21. Let's go over to the King James. I want you to show something here because a lot of people say it's Greece. Okay, go look at Greece. Go look at Greece today. Their army does well to do anything. And they, as a nation, there's no way they're going to ever be able... I mean, they're only like, one nation away from Iran? A couple nations away, and they're up to the north? They're not going to be able to run an airstrike across the whole earth to Iran. They only got to go a little ways. They're too small to do anything. Their air force is nothing. So in the King James, and this could be an unfortunate circumstance of translation, or maybe on purpose, I don't know. In the King James it says, and the rough goat is the king of Grecia, and the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king. This Grecia is very interesting. Let's take a look a little closer here at what the actual language is. Verse 21. And the rough goat is the king of Grecia. So let's look at king first. Whoops, come on, click. A king, a royal person of Grecia, is Yavon, probably from the same as H3196. We'll check that in a minute. Effervescing, that is hot and active. Havan, did it get the right word? The name of the son of Joktan and of the race Ionians, that is Greeks, descended from him. Notice it's not Greece, it's descended from that type of thing, with their territory, also of a place in Arabia. So this is actually referring to a descendant of. Well, have you looked at all of our architecture? Have you looked at our laws and the way they're laid out? Every bit of it relates back to Greco-Roman times. Every bit of it comes from the Greco-Roman. Go to Washington, look at the building. That's all Greco-Roman architecture. The way we lay out our stuff, the way we do our government is all based in Greco-Roman thinking. Every bit of it. Well, what's Greco-Roman? Greece-Roman. The combination of the two. Or maybe Grecia, a descendant of that type of thinking. Let's look at the, probably from the same as, which is Yayin, H3196, from an unused root meaning to effervesce, wine, as fermented, by implication, intoxication, banqueting, wine bibber. How interesting. Do we not get people drunk off of all of our delicacies? Just saying. I don't think this is referring to Greece at all, in any way, shape, or form. Especially since the mistake that they made when they translated it over to New King James as saying Greece. I think they just did that just to make it easy. But when we look at the word and look at the definition of the word, Yavon, it's the name of the son of Joktan and of the race, Ionians, that is Greeks, descended from him with their territory. Well, if it's a product of, or if it's somebody that took those aspects and made a different nation, and we have a Greco-Roman architecture and a Greco-Roman government, the way we run things. I mean, look at it. It's easy to see. Then this isn't talking about Greece. This is talking about a subsidiary of Greece. This is talking about, well, back during the Ottoman Empire, which is Greco-Roman, America was considered part of the Ottoman Empire. Even though then nobody had already, well, people had been there, they just don't want to admit it. But so this can't be Greece as a nation. This is a group of nations, or this is a product of those nations, or this is a nation that has taken on the characteristics of, descended from. Did that wrong. No, who are the descendants of the Ionians? The Ionians were one of the 4 major tribes that the Greeks considered themselves to be divided into during the ancient period. This is where some of the people get the idea that this happened in the past. Google is not working right. Who descended from the Ionians? Yes, the United States is descended from Greece and Roman Empire. Yes, we are directly descended from the British, but England was a part of the Roman Empire, and its culture was heavily influenced by Rome. Everything that we do is all based in that understanding. The Greeks, the Ionians, descendants of Ion. Keeps going back into the old gods, the old Roman gods. Ionians, any member of an important eastern division of the ancient Greek people who gave their name to a distinct or district on the western coast of Anatolia. So we see loose connections here over time passing through, not Greek or Greece as a specific reference, but those that are descended from it, those that came from it. So if the Greeks were direct descendants, these Greeks were direct descendants of the Ionian Greeks, and we came from that, then yeah. We are descendants of that. Long since separated descendants were descendants of that. Descended from him with their territory. So this isn't Greece, this is a product of Greece. Like Babylon and the daughter of Babylon is a product of Babylon. It's not Babylon, but it's a way of thinking of Babylon. They brought stuff from there and created a nation that based in there in what they're doing. Product of Israel. What's the product of Israel? A daughter of Israel would be somebody or a group or a nation or a group of people that took on some of those aspects. Just throwing it out there, you know. If Babylon had a daughter, who would that daughter be? Well, the people who spent the most time there in exile, that would be unbelieving Israel. And who would be the daughter of Israel, as the Bible mentions? Well, that would be the church, because we have aspects of what they're doing, and we believe in that same God. So, if this is Grecia, if this is descended from, that very easily could link to several different countries. But with all the other references we have in this chapter, it can link us directly to America. I'm just saying it. You don't have to believe me. I'm just saying it. This is what it looks like. Grecia, not Greece, but Grecia. The large horn is that between its eyes is the first king. And we see what Trump is planning on doing. That would make him a king, that's for sure. And it would be the first king we ever had. I'm just throwing out these details here because I can't find anywhere else in the past where any of these connect, except for now. Especially since this says specifically it's for the latter time of the indignation, the latter time of the tribulation. Matter of fact, where is that verse at? It's 19. Let's run over here. Verse 19. Make thee know what shall be in the last end of the indignation. Za'am, strictly froth of the mouth, that is figuratively fury, especially of God's displeasure with sin, angry indignation, rage. That sounds like tribulation to me. I could be wrong. I'm not saying I'm right. I could be wrong, but I'm just looking at it here. Verse 22, as for the broken horn and the four that stood up in its place, 4 kingdoms shall arise out of that nation. That nation is going to bust apart. 4 kingdoms shall arise out of that. 4 separate groups, but not with its same power. Now, there was an instance in the past where this did happen, but it didn't go the way this chapter is talking about. If you go look at the details of all that time frame back then, when the Ottoman Empire broke up, it didn't do the same thing that this one did. What this is describing, it doesn't match. This is talking about something else, and we know, since we looked at it, it's going to be the latter time. It's a future time from us. Obviously, this didn't happen in the past. So this is talking about a nation that's going to attack Iran. They're going to have their very first king. They're going to wipe them out, and then after that, this nation is going to fall apart and break into 4 pieces, and they won't have that power. Verse 23, and in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors have reached their fullness, which means that nation that busted up piece is going to lose their mind. They're going to go full on crazy. A king shall arise. Any wonder why we don't feel like we relate to the world today? Hello, they're already headed that way. A king shall arise, having fierce features, who understands sinister schemes. This is the Antichrist. Verse 24, his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. He shall destroy fearfully. He shall prosper and thrive. He shall destroy the mighty and also the holy people. The rich people today that have the money, that think what they're doing now puts them, and don't be fooled. They know that what they're doing is putting them in alignment with Satan. They know what they're doing. Do not let them deceive you. They know what they're doing. But what they don't realize is that when the time comes, he's going to take all their money away, and he's going to put them right down there in chains with everybody else. None of the people you see today that are alive, that are siding with Satan and the satanic agenda, are going to be rich when the time comes. They're going to be put down with everyone else. He will be the only one that will be in power. No one else. He's going to prosper and thrive. He's going to do good. He's going to destroy the mighty. And also the holy people. He's going to kill the Jews. His whole goal was to kill the Jews from the very beginning. And the church and the believers. Verse 25, through his cunning he shall cause deceit to prosper under his rule. And she shall exalt, and of course that's what he's going to do when he confirms the covenant. Remember how it says he's going to confirm a covenant? Well, we have a covenant right now, an Abraham Accord. Interesting that they put that name on it. All he has to do is sign his name and confirm it. Now, I have a theory on who I think it is. We'll get into that in a minute. But he's going to lie to him because partway through he's going to violated himself. He shall exalt himself in his heart. He shall destroy many in their prosperity. All those rich people are going down. If you think you're siding with Satan, you're not going to side with him very long. Destroy them in their prosperity. He shall even rise against the Prince of Princes. Who is that? Jesus. But he shall be broken without human means. It'll actually probably be a miracle to see how he goes down. And the vision of the evenings and the mornings which was told is true. Therefore seal up the vision, for it refers to many days in the future. And I, Daniel, fainted and was sick for days. Afterward I arose and went about the king's business. I was astonished by the vision, but no one understood it. He didn't know what was going on. It blew him away. Now, here's the takeaway. I'm just throwing it out there. You don't have to believe me, do your own research. But if that goat with the notable horn is America, and Trump gets elected and becomes the First Nations king, which we just looked at some things showing what he might be doing. If that's the case, then that means this nation, after this happens, however long it lasts, is going to fall apart, split into 4 pieces, and the Antichrist is going to come out of America, which is Greco-Roman, which means all the people are talking about, well, he's Armenian, he's going to come out of Armenia. Well, we take on a lot of those aspects in our country, so if he rises out of here, it'll be basically the same thing, because there's a lot of connections going on there. Oh, he's going to come out of the revised Roman Empire. Well, hello, everything we have that makes our country what it is Greco-Roman in nature. Hello. There's a lot of connections here, and it may be a stretch. I don't know. You decide. Look at it for yourself. But if this is the case, that means the Antichrist is coming out of America. If what I'm looking at here, the conclusion I'm coming to is true, the Antichrist comes out of America. Now, I have a theory, and this is just a theory, on who I think the Antichrist is. I think it's Jared Kushner. I don't know. Probably wrong. I hope I am. But I think it's him. Just saying. Everything that's going to be put into place, everything that's happening right now with all the control mechanisms they're putting in and tracking and all this stuff and the biometrics and the RF stuff and all that, every bit of that, he owns a company that specifically designs all of that technology. He also has attachments to over in where CERN is. He has attachments to that. He also has attachments to pharmaceutical. He also has attachments to the groceries. I mean, this guy's got his fingers in everything. He has fierce features. He understands sinister schemes. Look up what sinister schemes are. Do your research. It says he's going to be a homosexual. No, what that says is he's not going to have a natural affinity towards women. Just because he got married doesn't mean he loves her. What's the first thing he did? You have to convert to Judaism. He made her convert to Judaism. You can be married to somebody and not love them, not care about what they want or what their issues is. Have you heard anything from her since? Nope, I haven't. In fact, I don't even know if anybody's even seen her. Possibly, could have. But you see how things change real quick. The Abraham Accords, so many people, I don't understand why they think this, but they think Trump did all that. No, Jared Kushner is the architect of the Abraham Accords, and he's the one who went around all the nations and sealed the deal. Trump was just on camera signing it. But notice, if you look at the videos and the pictures, Kushner was in the background watching, staring at him with his fierce features. A look on his face and a little smile. And when I look at that, I'm like, that's kind of what I think Satan would look like if he was doing the same thing and smiling at him. I'm getting what I want. I don't know. I'm just saying. But everybody talks about it's this guy, it's that guy. There's more stuff that connects to Jared Kushner than does anybody else. Well, he has to come out of the old Roman Empire. If you go look at the town he came from, where his family lineage is from, it's right in the old Roman Empire. It's also in an area that is Armenian in nature. And everybody loves him over there. Netanyahu is on video saying, if we could if we could make him leader, if Kushner would take it, we would hand him the keys to the city and give him control of everything. He's on record as saying that. He's on camera. I saw the video in 2019. He's on camera saying he doesn't want it, but if we could get him, we would give him all the control. They literally would hand it to him. Now, they're not going to accept a Muslim as their leader. It's not going to happen. Jews will never do that. So you can take that whole theory and throw it out the window. They're not going to do it. The only person they're going to put in power over them is another Jew. Jared Kushner is a Jew. There's far too many things that connect to him than it does anybody else. Now, again, this is my opinion. But the digging that I've been doing led me into a very interesting series of facts that connect to him that make him highly likely that he's the one. I think these other people are distractions. So everybody takes their eyes off of him. I'm one of the only people that looks at him. I don't think anybody else thinks it is him. Just maybe a couple of people, a handful. I think it's him. I think he's going to end up being the one. Because he is in a position to take leadership anywhere he goes. Because people respect him and they're scared of him. at this very minute, he's still over there sealing up those deals. He's still over there making sure everybody's lined up on that Abraham Accord. He's still over there making sure everything's connected and everybody has loyalty to him, including Iran and Iraq and Turkey and all these places, Saudi Arabia. He's still over there doing all that work. Well, would you do that if you knew you were about to take power and needed to confirm a covenant that was already in place? He's confirming a covenant. It's already in place. He's confirming what's already there. And all he has to do is add 2 more years to it. Because it's currently 5 years. All he has to do is, we're going to do it for 7, and he signs it. That's it. It's that simple. Now, all this commentary here at the end, this is just my opinion. Do your own research. But right now, there's no other candidate in the world today that even comes close to fitting what the Bible describes about this guy. And you have to look at it from the Jewish perspective, too. So, and like I said, I'm just doing this little basic study here, but we're not going to exhaust it. There's more details to cover here. I don't want to go on forever. But if this goat with a notable horn is America, and Trump becomes the first king, and he collapses, this will be the last president we have. I already believe that anyway. That if he does get elected, or whoever gets elected, that'll be the last president we ever have. And this country breaks up into 4 pieces, which is already happening. People are already separating. They're already moving to the areas that they want to live in because they already know. It's been talked about for years now. In fact, Texas and most of the southern states already have their own constitutions drawn up. Texas already has their new state lines drawn up if they separate as a single nation by themselves. But I think the whole southern states are going to join with them for the most part. There's one portion of the nation. He's going to come up out of there as a leader and take over 3 of those. Because he's going to be the man with the plan. He's going to have all the answers. He's going to say, I got this. I have places that can deal with all this stuff. I own companies that deal with it. I got you. Don't worry. I'm going to make it all better. And people are going to go, yeah, sounds good to us, man. Go for it. But those seals have to happen first. Things have to get really bad first. That could be that 9-month time frame. And then the other 6.3 years is the rest of the tribulation. I don't know. I'm just throwing out some details here because this stuff is really interesting to look at, and it starts to paint a picture. And since we know the time that we're living in and we see all the things happening on the world stage today, how incredible. How incredible. Because we come to places like this, chapters like this, and we look at this stuff and we're like, wait a minute, some of that's happening now. Is that really who that's talking about? Well, could be. Could be. Notice verse 21 at the top of the page. It says kingdom of Greece, not nation of Greece. Greece was never a kingdom. First king. So that's just my take on this. And the more I see what's happening, the more I see what's going on, especially this year has been big. Next year's going to be real big. The more I'm convinced this is how this is going to unfold. And it's exciting. It's a little scary sometimes, but it's exciting because we're seeing Bible prophecy come alive right before our eyes. Right before our eyes. All right, well, I've worn you guys out enough. There's a lot here. And I believe this is one of the most active ones we're seeing right now because so much is happening concerning that. But don't believe me. Do not believe me. Go look for yourself. See what you think. Because there's even more here that I haven't mentioned. And we're only going to learn more as we go. So guys, that was Daniel 8. Very exciting chapter. A lot to this chapter, especially nowadays. Do your own research. Read it for yourself. See what you think. Next week will be Daniel 9. And that will be Daniel's prayers. And the other ones, I think we get into some more. Yeah, terrifying vision of a man. Kings of the south and the north. So we got a lot more to cover. And then the time of the end. We got a lot more to cover. But this is a big one. And this maybe have connections going over into these other chapters 10, 11, and 12. So we'll see when we get there. All right, guys. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one.